Does it work? Yeah? Good. Fine. Hi, I'm Philipp. I'm with the Bundesbank. And today I want to talk about Aktualisierung, Markup-Auslieferung zur Internet. Okay, that's amazing. You see, that's amazing headless. Okay? Yeah, okay. Well, sorry, no worries. I'm the public sector guy in the pack, but this hopefully won't be the most boring session we have, but I need help. Please welcome with me the incredible Georgi from Babiel.
Laptop, because I'm a developer at Babiel, and the best I can do is like code, so I'm gonna need it later. So, yeah, we don't only have the overhead projector, we also have some PowerPoint slides. That's
Can you push them up? Yeah.
for the rest of the presentation. We are also gonna work with that, maybe also with that and that. We have some devices. So, yeah, I'm gonna begin with who is Babiel, and of course I will forget something when doing the PowerPoint. Of course, I forgot to translate it. But this shouldn't be an issue because these days we have AI, so we can actually just use the AI. It's an opportunity for you guys to get the Apple Vision and try to translate it in real time.
It's on and then you'll see it in English.
It's working. It's working. But for the people that don't get their hands on the Apple Vision, I'm just going to talk you through that, so that's not a problem. So Babiel was founded as a family company at 1991. And since 2018, we are part of the CoreMedia group, so we are growing, and right now we actually have, like this digit is not correct, we have way more now, it's 180 plus minus co-workers, and like at our region we're the best employer, so this is not only from Kununu but also from the feedback that we get from our co-workers. And I cannot explain you what the certificates are about, but they are very important to us. We have them, so if you need them for your project, you can trust us. So Philipp, what does the Bundesbank do?
Well, obviously we print the money. Well, we have it printed because we don't want to do it ourselves. For the cozy feeling that there's something real behind it, we take care of about 3,000 tons of gold, which is valued at, that's the figures of 2023, so it's about 200 billion euros. We do some more things. So the other one up here, that's the number of transactions we process in our cashless transaction infrastructure. So if you pay by card or you do some SEPA money transfer, something, then it's very likely that we are processing it actually, and that's a number of 300 trillion euros we are processing over the year. And another figure down here, together with the BaFin, we are supervising about 2,700-ish financial institutions. There's many more dots in here, and it's to show you that what we are doing is not dealing with just one product or one audience group, but with many different, and they don't overlap necessarily. So we've got the ones who care about what we actually do and how the monetary policy works and things like that. We've got cashless transactions. We got to take care of that everyone who wants to have it has their money in the pocket. We do financial supervision, and so on and so on and so on. So it's many different people we have to talk to and we have to reach. And what we want to do is to make sure that whoever wants to get to know something about the Bundesbank or what we actually do or how they have to act and work with us, then they should be able to find the information they need as fast as possible online. So we don't want our users to stick around for a long time so we want to get the information across. That's our main goal. So of course you're prepared for our talk and you had a look at the Bundesbank website recently, but if you haven't, I just draw something here. What the Bundesbank website looks like today is something like, down a bit, yep. It's something like we've got a navigation, and we've got our logo, and then we've got a navigation, and then we've got some content, and we've got some subnav, and we've got another part of the content, and so on and so forth. But for the guys who are in the business longer than I am, because I'm not old enough to know this scheme, that was called the Holy Grail, as I remember correctly, which is how to build a website. Like, if the web pages we saw before are from the 80s, then that's before that. And that's what the Bundesbank homepage looks like today. So we thought about, we have to change something. The first thing is that all the content and all the information people needed are in here. So you have to navigate quite deeply, into the pages and into our information architecture to find the information you actually need. So what we thought about is, okay, we have to separate according to the users, according to our interest groups, into different pages. And while we are doing this, we should also think about if the tech stack we are using is still the right one. So what we, together with Babiel, started was the project to move Bundesbank publications, because they are the most important thing to get our information about monetary policy and the economic research and things we are doing across, away from our current main page into a separate page where you can focus on just the information we try to get across there. So this is the Bundesbank publications website, and this is also a POC for us, how to work with a new tech stack that is headless, this, using the CoreMedia headless server, and separating front-end and our front-end infrastructure and our front-end tech from the content management system from the back-end. So what's headless? Because I think there's, how many techies do we have around here? 1, 2, 3, none. Okay, so what is headless?
Yeah. So by the way, what Philipp did on this project, he actually really explains all the tickets in this way. He starts drawing and stuff, and then we have to understand what he wants. But it's working. If you know the meme from the office where this crazy dude is on the whiteboard, it's sometimes like that. So yeah, so we switched to headless. Not switched fully. We are using headless next to our CA instance. And there are a few reasons from the developer's view to use it, but also from the view from our product owner. And yeah, what's the most, like, when you Google why to use headless, you're definitely gonna see about its minimalistic usage and how it can be used in omnichannel and stuff like that. And also that it's pretty flexible with its GraphQL and REST and everything else, like very technical stuff. But one of the coolest things that we have for us developers is that when we combine this minimalistic approach to code and like the flexibility of the GraphQL with the power of REST, like well-known way to code APIs, we can achieve better client-side rendering experience. So what we do is we basically provide just the data to our front end, and we are completely flexible to choose the framework that we want to use for one project, but we can also use another framework for another project. This is like how flexible it is. It's not only flexible in one project, but like multi-project. And these are just few of the developers' positive things. I'm gonna show you a lot of other stuff later.
Yeah, and from a PO's view, one thing is being fast. I mean, we don't have to sell products, so we don't lose sales when we are half a second late, but still our goal was to get the information our users needed across as fast as possible. And for this, headless is pretty good as well, because we are only delivering the content. We are not delivering how it's laid out, things like this, so we don't have to provide information architecture again and again, we don't have to provide navigation again and again, but just the content the user requested. And that's an interesting case, not only for the web, but also for the screens we saw earlier and things like that. So that's the one thing that headless has an advantage in. The other one is being efficient, because before we weren't using any REST API or so. So all the page you saw was created by the templating engine we have in the back. With this setup, with this tech stack, we are able to have the front-end team work with the tech they actually know. And that's a big advantage, because earlier they were using like free market templates, things like this, which is okay, but it's not the stack they actually know. They know HTML, they know JS, they know CSS, they know things like this. But they don't necessarily know other things they need for the templating engine. So this is something we can provide our dev teams with a tech stack they are more used to and they are more efficient in working in. And the last thing is, it's a huge ecosystem. So there's much development going in there. We can exchange the front end if we need to, because if we see, okay, there's a framework doing much better in the things we want to achieve, then we can, well, just take the old one out, plug the new one in, see that the communication via the GraphQL is still working, and that's it. So this is making us much more flexible, as Georgi said, and also it's helping us to go with the market and with the developments that are happening there. So yeah, with much talking about what Headless can do, we want to have a look at how it actually looks like if we have our developers working at it.
Yeah. So you cannot bring me on stage without me showing you some kind of code. Like it's just
that's a painful experience I had to make.
I'm gonna make it way less painful for you, I promise. So yeah, I want to show you a live example of like a feature that we built. Right now, it's like the image lazy loading that we're doing right now. And I'm not gonna talk you through all the technical stuff. It's gonna be very on the tip of the iceberg, but I hope you understand me. So like what we want to do is basically show the images on the website. And I don't know if you know Vote, the delivery app. I'm not sponsored by them, but they do it in a very cool way that they show some blurred image, and when the actual image was loaded, they show the real image, like with a nice effect, fade in, fade out. And this is something that we want to try to implement as a POC right now. And you can see when we want to do it, we have to make very small changes to the backend, and then everything from there on is basically done in the front end, which lets us be very, very flexible choosing our stack in the front end. So the only thing that we have to do at the back end right now is actually just add the blur hash to our picture, and then we have some kind of interceptor. So there is a hash that's generated. This is done in the back end. Interesting stuff, but not for now. And everything that happens here results into this big JSON, in which I can search for blur hash, and then I get some kind of string. And from there on, everything's front-end. So I'm going to jump into the front-end workspace. And then I can see that I have a component that renders the images. Like some of you definitely know HTML. I'm pretty sure about that. Normally, you use just image to show the picture, and then you have some kind of URL to show it. This is stored here in this variable. But now we have the flexibility to use Angular in our case. And with Angular, we go into the components, and then we use this cool stuff that I would love to tell you more about. You can ask me later. But what it does is basically it just gets the blur hash that we generate, it decodes it, and makes an image out of it. And then I can just use it on the web page where I want to have it. And then at the end of that, of course.
Now comes the fun part, because me as a PO, I want to see something. Well, code sometimes, but
I have something for you. I think you missed it. Philipp, you missed it. Look now. You looking? There. Look at these images. So this is what basically helps us. And like the development time and the developer experience throughout this process is really, really smooth. So like the way we start concepting these features is also the way we implement them, because the code base is so clear and so good to work with that if I say I want to add something to the scheme, Then I just go to the scheme, edit, and then I have like some normal interceptor and get the data to our front end. And our front end can build everything they want. This was something that was quite hard, but with Headless, we empower our front end developers.
And this is something, I won't go into details when the actual thing was developed, but it didn't take very long. So for me, if I see something and say, okay, that's cool, let's see if this is going to work, I just write a ticket, of course, and then says we refine it, and then there's a process. We usually have in mind, it's fast, and I see things fast, and I can have a look at it and put it to our business areas and say, does this fit your needs? I can publish it. I have it online, pretty easy, and then we can think about it. Does it work? Is it cool? And being that fast is a huge asset.
Yeah, and that's not only the only one. There are like few more, and like switching to this kind of workflow that we have at Bundesbank, we have learned some things, and like a lot of the things are actually the key node of this presentation. It's like for us developers, the user gets a lot of the stuff because we developers are getting empowered by the Headless. We can use very good technology with that, and it's like the main things that we learned is that it's something that we use next to our existing code base. It's not something that replaces everything. We can just say, okay, the next feature that I want to implement, it's just going to use Headless, and then we just use Headless, and then we're very flexible. We don't have to replace anything existing. So this adds like value to developers, which results into value for the users. So clearly, who profits? The developers. We can use modern technology and not only, overhead projectors, but very cool stuff to show our skills, which also empowers us in the development times, which also results in better feedback to the users. Like when we push code to production, we get more feedback, and our backlog is only getting longer because we have feedback, and we can adjust things to our users. So this is something that we can take as positive.
Yes. One last time, I will.
Again.
I was afraid though, because I didn't know how many tabs I can open with this one. But
it's not gonna disconnect.
It's been 3 at least, and it didn't freeze. So, thank you very much, all of you, for your interest.
You have to put it down. Very important.
And thanks to our patron saint for keeping our project stable and in time and scope and focus. Thank you very much.